look at the person next to you.
Say, I recognize the God in you.
I recognize the God in you.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
Woo! All right. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to
Say,
you.
I love you and God loves you too.
I love you and God loves you too.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Now feel the love in the
Oh,
sanctuary.
lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
Every walk of life.
Every walk of life.
Every breed and color.
Every breed and color.
In kinship we unite.
In kinship we
Oh, yeah. Come on. And honor the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say namaste, I bow to you.
Say namaste, I bow to you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the
Come on.
sanctuary.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
We come together.
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 In the name of love.
We come together.
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 We come together in the name of love.
All right. Hallelujah. Woo! Praise the Lord this morning.
All right. How we doing? Is my microphone on? Yes. Good, because I'd hate for you to miss something. So, welcome back to me, because I wasn't here last week. Yes. I was out sick, believe it or not. I know. I managed to keep it at bay, and then I didn't. But you know what? A little spiritual mind treatment in the middle of the night on Sunday night, and I woke up on Monday right as rain. So there's a living testimonial. Yes. So if you're joining us online or here in the house, my name is Reverend Michael McMorrow. I am the spiritual director here at our Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, which is in the North San Fernando Valley, where we welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. And our presider this morning is our board president, also, Andrea Recht. And we're going to get underway by batten down the hatches in the back there and taking a deep conscious breath and releasing. Just allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call Lighting the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Andrea lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. The third candle we light for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as Andrea lights, 10. Why don't we do the 10th candle first? We light the 10th candle for all those who are as yet unaware, for all those who are as yet unaware of a power and presence of Spirit in their life, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Andrea lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in all hearts. There is one light that shines on our love. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own soul. There is one flame, one light within.
So how very grateful I am to have this opportunity to anchor in the eternal nowness of this moment, my realization, my recognition, my knowing that there is but one flame. What a beautiful song. There is but one life, one power, one presence, one absolute, magnificent, loving intelligence that lives and moves and has its very beingness as all of the manifest universe, as all of creation, as that which I identify as my life really is the life of God, living and breathing and moving as my life. And I know this same truth for each and every beloved individual soul here this morning. And so it is with faith and conviction and knowingness that I speak my word, blessing this morning's service, declaring it to be a divine and perfect idea in the mind of God, blessing each and every person here, blessing our wonderful guest speaker, Ms. Tracy Brown, and the magic she brings to this room, the power that she has that uplifts us and cracks us open to a greater understanding of life itself. And so I am just knowing that everything unfolds in perfect order. And for this and so much more than words, have the power to say, I remain grateful and thankful as I lovingly release this word to that aspect of intelligence known as law, which always and only says, yes, my beloved, yes, 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 in you I am well pleased. And in agreement with this word spoken, we simply say together, and so it is. Good morning, beloved community. It's wonderful to be here. As usual, I'm happy to be here. The truth is, there are very few Sunday mornings when I wake up and don't feel like coming to church. I love being here. I love seeing you. And honestly, there's no place like home, as Dorothy says in The Wizard of Oz. So, first of all, that was a beautiful song. And that's, I'm sorry? That's original? Yes. Oh my God. We don't usually start with that song, and so I was a little bit like, whoa, wait a minute. But diversity is important, right? And I can appreciate diversity in music, right? So that's what Tracy's going to talk about, and I'm going to leave that to her because she is really and truly an expert on diversity and inclusion. But as you know, I had an opportunity to travel a little bit. You all know where I went, right? I bragged about it and talked about it so much. And I'm going to. But this will be the last time, I promise. But I want to talk about my trip, not so much in terms of what I saw in the Eiffel Tower and all the carbs that I ate, but more how I noticed that I used spiritual principle to demonstrate the kind of trip that I wanted. So I'm going to start with a quote from Ernest Holmes, who was our founder and leader of this particular teaching. Not leader, that's the wrong word. But anyway, he says this: everything in the manifest universe is the result of some inner activity of mind. Believing, thinking what is believed to be true, thinking into mind each day that which is wished to be returned. These are some of the steps which, when followed, will bring us to where we shall not have to ask if it be true, because having demonstrated, we will know that it's true. So I had known that my friends were sending me a ticket to go to France for, probably a couple months at least before the actual trip. And so that's one thing right there. The trip was paid for. But I noticed that I had some concerns about the logistics of the trip. And I'm not really sure they were concerns, but they were ideas that I had floating around in my awareness. One of them being that it's a long way to go, and the plane ride is long, and I don't have the desire to use pharmaceuticals in the same way as I used to. Let's just say that. So it used to be that I would get on a plane for a long flight. Thank you. We planned that. It used to be that I would getting ready to get on the plane, I'd take a couple Xanax. Getting on the plane, I would take a couple Xanax and have a couple of drinks. And during the flight, I would do the same. And then getting ready to get off the plane, I'd take a couple more Xanax just in case, And I choose not to do that anymore. So there was some concern about the long flight and would I be able to sleep and would I be anxious and blah, 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 blah. There was also the train strike that was going on right during the time that I was getting ready to go. And I was going to be taking a train from Paris to Bordeaux. So there was like, okay, there's the strike that might happen, might be going on when I'm there. And then there was the weather concerns. I had somebody actually tell me, you shouldn't go because it's going to be raining. And the truth is, I had checked the weather forecast for weeks before I was going. And it was day after day after day after day after day after day, I'm not kidding, of rain. Except the rain stopped on December 25th, which is the day I was going. So, I'm sorry I forgot to bring my timer up, but I'll get a warning. The thing is that already? No, Mike, you're playing. Underlying these concerns was faith. A faith in knowing that everything was going to be fine no matter what. Everything was going to unfold perfectly, that if it rained, I had boots and an umbrella and a coat. And that if I didn't sleep on the plane, so be it. There's lots of movies and lots of stuff to eat. And the trains, well, if the trains were on strike, the day that I had to take my train from Paris to Bordeaux, I would fly or hire a driver or hitchhike or something, you know. I just knew that it was going to be perfect. And the truth is, my train was not on strike. The plane ride was fine. And I never opened my umbrella that I bought especially for the trip. So I had faith. And I used the law to set into motion that which I wanted to experience. And it worked. So I'm watching season 3 of The Crown, and then I'm going to stop. So in this particular episode, Kitty and I were talking about this yesterday, in this particular episode of The Crown, season 3, Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, is being reunited with his eccentric mother, who has been living in a nunnery in a church in Greece for many, many years. They hadn't seen each other in many years, and their relationship was filled with misunderstanding and ambivalence. And he was not so happy that she was going to be coming back to the palace because there was some political strife in Greece where she was. And they had an opportunity to make an amends to one another, and he gained a very deep and some very deep clarity about her and why she was the way she was. And she said to him, Bubbykins, she called him Bubbykins. She said, how is your faith? And he says to her, it's dormant. She says, what? And he says, it's dormant. And she says, well, as a mother to son, I think the best thing that I could give you as a gift is this. Find yourself a faith. It helps. And then she says, no, it more than helps. It's everything. And I have found that to be true. Thank you.
Everybody, nice to see you. I would like to thank Ms. Terry Page, Ms. Brenda Moore, and Mr. Jerry Reike for singing background vocals today. Thank you all very much. Mr. Jason Goldstein on the keys, doing a great job. Thrilled to have Ms. Eden living good on violin today. Always makes it sound better. And you got a real special treat today. Please welcome the one and only Ms. Cheryl Khalid. Ready? Remember, we vamp in the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Next time you're found with your shin on the ground, there's a lot to be learned, so look around. Just what makes that little old ant think he'll move a rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but he had high hopes. He has high hopes. He has high low instead of letting go. Just remember that ant. Whoops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
Whoops, there goes another rubber tree.
Whoops, there goes
Another rubber tree plant.
When troubles call and your back's to the wall,
There's a lot to be learned. That wall could fall.
once there was a silly old ram, thought he'd punch a hole in a dam. No one could make that lamb scram. He kept butting that dam 'cause he had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky. Hope so anytime you're feeling sad, instead of feeling bad, just remember that ram. Whoops, there goes a billion kilowatt dam.
Whoops, there goes a billion kilowatt.
Whoops, there goes a billion kilowatt dam. 'Cause he had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky. Hopes, problem, just a toy balloon. They'll be bursting soon. They're just bound to go pop. Whoops, there goes another problem. Her
Whoops, there goes another problem. Kerplop.
Whoops, there goes another problem. Kerplop, kerplop.
Thank you, Cheryl, and the band. Yay! So I'm going to highlight some of the announcements, and I'm going to do it quickly because I really want you to hear Tracy. She's wonderful. She is our guest speaker today. There's also 1 Minute Miracle available for you in the prayer room with Reverend Jessica after service. Bereavement Support Group is meeting today at 12:30, also in the prayer room. Yes, in the prayer room. The Law of Attraction Group is also meeting today, right, Mike Carland? At 2 o'clock here in the sanctuary? Okay, there you go. We have a YouTube camel. We have a YouTube camel we'd like you to pay attention to. We do have a YouTube channel that we'd like for you to subscribe to. And we have a goal of 10,000 subscribers for this year. So please go on and subscribe to the Granada Hills Center for Spiritual Living YouTube channel. CSLGH.org. Sherry Gideons, a religious science practitioner who was here for a while but is currently in Florida, Texas, I'm not sure. I was close, sort of, right? She is a practitioner in Arizona. She was here at our center. She's on the board. I think she's one of our extended practitioners. I don't know what the right word is. Outreach, that's the word. Thank you. She is available for online prayer treatment, and her email address is up there. Nikki Robbins, who is one of our practitioners and ministerial students, is starting a class tomorrow night, Monday night, on the 10 Commandments. So you could, tomorrow morning at 10:30. I think it was going to be 5 weeks, but now it's 10, right, Mom? Yeah, she's extended it to 10 weeks. And not my mom, Nikki's mom. And I wish it was my mom. I miss her still to this day, 8 years later. God bless her little heart. Anyway, I'm digressing. I tend to do that. Nikki's class is starting tomorrow morning, and the great thing about Nikki's class is Nikki, of course, but also that it's a Zoom class, so you can either come here and do it in person, or you could stay at home in your pajamas and do it online, Zoom. Choir is resuming tomorrow night. Everybody hold Angela in prayer. I'm going to just say this. I don't know if she wants us to or not, but she had a fall, and she dislocated her jaw, and she but I think she's going to come back tomorrow night to resume choir rehearsal. Sangha, the Mystics Amongst Us, is postponed. That would be Unit 2. It's postponed until February 5th, so be aware of that. And Nancy and I are tackling the Joel Goldsmith with a wonderful group of like-minded individuals on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Joel Goldsmith's The Contemplative Life. So if you're interested in learning more about that, join us on Thursday nights. Coming soon is Ninoska is starting a Spanish class, and Spanish for beginners, adult beginners. That's beginning February 4th, and it's going to go for how many weeks, Ninoska? 8 weeks, okay. So the sign up is getting, I don't think there's a cap on how many people are going to be able to join, but there's a lot of people signed up. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up in Sparks Hall. Also, I want you to know that we have a prayer request box. I don't know if y'all know that. It's out front in the lobby. If you want to receive prayer from the practitioner core, put in a request in the box and we will pray for you. And also we have a box where you can donate to a charity. So if you have a charity that you really love, put their name on a piece of paper in that macrame looking kind of box up there on the counter out there, and we will make a donation to them. We pull a slip out of it at every board meeting and make donations. So if you wouldn't mind, please standing up, and we will recite our Declaration of Principles together. And here they are. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
That time. All right, nicely done. Let's give it up one more time for Cheryl, shall we? So, and I do want to give a shout out to Stephanie, who's working hard. She's watching us online. Everybody wave hi to Stephanie. So unfortunately, you don't get to meet her today, Tracy. Unfortunately for her as well. So, but we are blessed to have with us the leadership chair and share, the leadership chair of Centers for Spiritual Living. So Centers for Spiritual Living is the denomination and the organization, actually the organization that holds our denomination, which is called Religious Science. So I had mentioned earlier, you know, the Methodists, unfortunately, their denomination has split. You know, a conservative branch decided they wanted to go off and do their thing because they couldn't handle the marriage equality thing and some other stuff. And we know what the pain of separation is because back in the 50s, Religious Science had a split. And so in 2012, United Churches for Religious Science and Religious Science International, they actually had another name then, but they came together. And since 2012, we have been one organization, Centers for Spiritual Living. It's been a real kind of a mashup for several years. It was, well, not several years. The first few years were expensive, and everybody was, all of a sudden, we got to be a lot bigger. And I would just like to say that Tracy Brown and her leadership as the leadership chair has really taken kind of a, almost not chaotic, but just a very dynamic situation for sure, and brought some harmony to it and some direction, and just really a wonderful leader. And so even as we know we're going to have a new great leadership chair, I just so appreciate the guidance that you have steered us into this thing. That's enough, Tracy? Okay, so Tracy, come on up here, Tracy. So Tracy is here from the Center for Spiritual Living out of Dallas, and will be speaking to us on whatever you end up speaking about. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
That's what happens. Push the button, I turned it off. Sorry.
That's what happens. So, you know, Ernest Holmes has taught us that there is nothing to heal, only truth, capital T, truth, to reveal. And so, as Reverend Mike refers to the evolution of Centers for Spiritual Living, what I am reminded of is that my job as a leader has been not to fix things with the assumption that they are broken. Yes, to notice what often appear to be chaos and know that that is not the truth of this divine idea called Centers for Spiritual Living, and to constantly stay focused on and to invite others to stay focused on the reality that Centers for Spiritual Living exists to provide or to teach, to offer resources and teaching or learning or lessons that result in personal and global transformation. And that everything that we do is related to serving that and to serving a vision of a world that works for everyone. And that's really complicated. I mean, it's really complex. It's complex just in the idea of taking spiritual principle and applying it to all that is going on in the world. It's also very complex in terms of relationships, one-on-one relationships, group-to-group relationships, member community to member community relationships, and then all of us relating to the entire world. So what has kept me grounded is a reminder that it's not me doing the work. I am one of many, many people who are committed to being the voice, the hands, the eyes, the ears, and the love of the divine in very challenging situations. But here's what I know about Granada Hills. So this particular member community has a long history of being involved in whatever the parent organization is or has been. So there's no mistake that it is a joy for me. There's no accident, and there's no it required no imagination for me to be excited about being here. So your beloved Dr. Maureen has been always involved in the larger organization, setting an example and encouraging people to live the principles. Your beloved Mike McMorrow has served on the Financial Stewardship Committee for years and years and years. So it is, you're laughing about that, him having something to do with money in the large organization, influencing that? Is that like really funny? Can I go back and tell the committee that he's not the person that should have been on this, right? No. No, so it's a joy for me when I get to come visit in a community where there is a pattern of service, right? One of the newest practitioners who has moved her license here, Ninoska, has served on the International Practitioner Council for years. So I feel like I'm coming to family. I'm coming to visit family that maybe I haven't seen in a while, and family I've not met before in person, but family I know because I know the quality of leadership that is associated with this community. A family I know because I've watched you on Facebook. Right? So I, have chimed in, I've checked in to feel what it's like. And one of the biggest reminders for me that we are all different and all alike, which is my common theme for today, that we are all different and all alike is that in Centers for Spiritual Living, we have more than 440 communities, focus ministries, teaching chapters, operating in over 30 countries internationally, and every one of them is unique and precious and valuable and impacting different people. They're each different from one another. And at the same time, every one of them is alike because they are all teaching science of mind principles. They are all continuing the legacy of Ernest Holmes and many other metaphysicians and New Thought philosophers. And so both happen at the same time. We don't have to think about if someone is different from us. They are different. I don't need to interact with them. And we don't have to assume that everybody we build relationships with is just like us. So all different and all alike is our challenge as we live the principles and the practices of science of mind. And it's really interesting to me that we don't seem to have any challenge recognizing the differences and valuing them. And at the same time, notice some similarities when we think about, I don't know, flowers. I don't know. If you're standing in a garden, do you judge this flower as better than? I mean, you might like one flower more than another, but do you banish the other flowers? Oh, no. I know this is a public garden, but there should only be daisies here because, I like daisies. No, you go, oh, look, they're daisies. Oh, look, they're roses. Oh, look, they're tulips. Oh, look, there's a rose bush. Look how beautiful it is. Look how beautiful that color, that yellow flower is. And wow, how did that flower get to be purple? Like, ooh, right? The color purple. And we don't have a problem doing that in so many other ways. But there's something about humanity. There's something that happens when we learn or meet or begin to engage with people who speak a different language or come from a different culture or a different age group or practice a different religion or spiritual belief system. Like, what is that about? We can look right in this room and notice that we are all different, and at the same time, we're all alike. Or, I don't know, maybe you're all alike and not No, that's not possible. Because I'm looking at you, and there are physical differences. But let me do a little test. Will you play with me? Yeah, sure. Great. I'm going to call out some experiences that you may have had. And if you have, then you can stand up and sit down, or you could raise your hand and wave it, and then put your hand down, and just look around if you're raising your hand or not, and see whose hands are raised. Simple, yes? 5 people say it's simple. Okay, wait. I better give you a little pop quiz. Let me see if I've explained it correctly and if you've heard it and taken it in. So this is just a little test question. Is there anyone in the room who woke up this morning? Okay, I'm really scared if your hand's not raised. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through a few examples. If it applies to you or you resonate with it, just raise your hand, look around. So is there anyone in the room who's left-handed? Yes. Is there anyone in the room who speaks a language other than English fluently? Who in the room has shaken hands with a president of the United States? Is there anyone in the room who is vegetarian or vegan? Is there anyone in the room who regularly performs in music in a choir or band? Ooh, lots of music in the room. Is there anyone in the room who has been married for 10 years or longer to the same person? Who in the room owns a truck or pays the bank every month for the use of it? I was told in first service that I should ask a different question. How many people in the room own an SUV? Okay, a few more hands. Who in the room wears contact lenses or has had LASIK surgery? Fabulous. Who in the room has a family member with a physical disability? How many people have been to a museum in the last 12 months? And just one or two more. Is there anyone in the room who was a cheerleader in high school or college? Who in the room was on the drill team in high school or college? I mean, isn't it interesting that we are really going to demand that we are noticed? Like, no, not that cheerleader stuff, but drill team. Like, do not ignore us, right? Include us too. I know you never do that in real life. Like, oh, they didn't acknowledge me. And who in the room is wearing black shoes today? Yeah. So I could go on, right, for a long time. Like, the list is never ending about the experiences we have or the things about us that make us unique. But often we find that we have things in common with someone who we never would have expected to. Because so much about diversity is not about the outer package. That is a part of it, but it is not the totality of it. Ernest Holmes talks so much or wrote so much about multiplicity, that the human expression reflects the multiplicity of the infinite creative potential of spirit. In other words, God has no limit to its imagination and to its creativity. And it creates from itself different ways of experiencing life. Ernest Holmes reminds us, if you look in the glossary, how he begins to define love. Love is the self-givingness of spirit. It is giving of itself because it wants to experience all the different ways that life could be experienced. So why would we expect that spirit would create 2 human beings or 5 different groups of people that really were all the same, because then they would only be one group? And then we think about that and we say, well, that's what oneness is. We're just one group. No, we are one group. Oneness is expressing as one thing That is the result of the totality of all the individual expressions being grouped together, all of the different groupings coming together to reflect the oneness, the one principle of spirit, which is life. Oneness does not mean sameness. Oneness means because we are different from one another, we can choose to show up demonstrating the spiritual principle of unity. There would not need to be a principle of unity if everything were the same. Unity reflects that things, or in this case, people, that are different from one another come together and demonstrate love and harmony and peace and all the spiritual attributes that we commit to and that we strive to be a representation of. How do I remember this? You know, there are lots of ways. But one of my favorite ways to remember it, because, you know, there's a part of my brain that's like, I've read all the books. I'm really smart. And sometimes my brain says, Tracy, could you just make it simple? I mean, like multiplicity, what is that really? How many times do you use the word multiplicity in a sentence in the course of a week? Like none, unless I'm up here on the platform, right? Or maybe if I'm teaching a class and I'm quoting Ernest Holmes. But I don't have to use the big fancy words in order to remember the principle that things are all different and all alike. I don't have to remember that everybody in this room is all different, all alike. If I start forgetting, all I have to do is think about myself. And I'm going to tell you my secret. Can you keep a secret? Can you keep a secret? I'm not so sure. Can you keep a secret? Yes. Can we have a secret? Hey, you all on Facebook, can you keep a secret? Okay. So, just, you'll get it. Join in. Stand up, join in. You put your right hand in, you put your right hand out. You put your right hand in and you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Left foot. You put your left foot in, you put your left foot out. You put your left foot in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Head. You put a little faster, you put your head out. You put your head in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about. Yes, you do the hokey pokey. Now, I'm guessing some of you get it, not just because you were in first service, but our bodies are a fabulous example of both diversity and inclusion. Right? I don't expect my wrist to operate or need the same kind of support that my knee does. I don't expect my knee to operate the same way that my neck does. I don't expect my neck to be used in the same way that I use my ankle when I'm roller skating, right? It's like they're very different things. They're each unique. I value them. I value the way that they are designed to operate. I pay attention to what is required, whether it's a limb or whether it's an internal part of my body. And at the same time, because all these different parts of my body work together, it's a perfect demonstration of inclusion. Because the way that different parts of my body work together they work together for a purpose to accomplish a goal. And in our lives, that is what we really want to do as we live our spiritual principles out into the world. We want to recognize that people are different from one another, and we want to meet them where they are, and we want to encourage them to be the best they can. As a licensed practitioner, if someone comes to me for a practitioner session or for prayer, I don't tell them what I think is best for me. I listen to them, and I really listen for what is it they desire. What is it that they are calling forth in their life? And I affirm that, because we are not exactly the same. And I look at I think often about what is in Scripture as well as what is in the science of mind or from other philosophers. And there is a scripture in the Bible from Romans 12, verses 4 through 8. And I'm just going to read the first couple of sentences. For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not have all the same function. So we, though many, are one body in Christ's consciousness, and individually members one of another. Repeating, for as in one body we have many members, and the members do not have all the same function, so we, though many, are one body expressing Christ's consciousness, and we are individually members one of another. There's no mistake that in science of mind we talk about individual thought and collective thought. And the collective thought, or the law of averages, or race consciousness, reflects the accumulation of all of our individual thoughts to establish what the standard is for life itself. And so there is no way to separate our individual thought and our individual choices from the impact it has on the collective experience of our neighbors, our community, or the world at large. We cannot separate those things. Now, Howard Thurman does share with us a quote that I love and refer to frequently, and he says, "It is not that the sense of separation is not authentic. It is merely that the sense of separation is not absolute. The sense of separation that we experience is natural from a human perspective because we get caught up in the physical. And I know that we're not one body, we're two physical bodies. The sense of separation is authentic because what we've been told by the media, what we learned in school, what we heard from our parents or grandparents, what we have picked up on in our socialization, that sense of separation is authentic. It's not imaginary, but it is not absolute. And our commitment as religious scientists, our commitment of living the principle and being the example of Christ's consciousness requires us to move differently in the world and to constantly move into alignment with the absolute principle of love, peace, harmony, wholeness, unity. And so this week I invite you, as you go through your experiences with the people you meet, the people you interact with, I invite you to actually look at people and in your mindset say, wow, that person is the face of God. To look at the next person and think, if I really believed this was the face of God, would I say what I'm thinking? If I really want to show up as the face of God, how would I greet this person, talk about this election, this idea, this challenge? So I invite you to join me in committing to that this week. I also invite you that you still have time to sign up for and register for the Centers for Spiritual Living Convention in Denver, February 16th or 17th through the 20th in Denver, Colorado, and come meet your family members from all over the world. And I invite you to always, always remember that the beauty of human creation is that we are both all different and all alike. Please join me in prayer. In this moment, right here and right now, what I know is absolutely true is there is only one power, one presence, and it is expressing itself as life in me and in every person within the sound of my voice. It could be no other way because it is expressing itself in the life and the presence and the expression of all of life, no exception. And that is what actually gives me the authority to speak this word right here and right now. This word that is not hoping or wishing or dreaming. It is a word that is simply translating the powerful presence and truth of the divine into language that can be related to in this moment. So I speak this word in the first person, and I invite you to simply take a breath and let my word be your word. And we breathe together. Grateful that there is an infinite creativity and an infinite potentiality being expressed in so many different forms of humanity. I know that humanity is expressing and evolving along a divine order, and there are no mistakes. So diversity is a divine idea being expressed and being physicalized into human form, and it is beautiful. I claim and declare that today is the day that I begin to value diversity, be a part of the creation of inclusion everywhere I go, because I know that that in itself is Spirit's highest vision. That Spirit has already created a world that works for everyone, and I choose to contribute to that. I know that Spirit has already created the optimum example of harmony and wholeness, and I choose that. I choose to see it, I choose to know it, I choose to be it. And from a place of deep, deep gratitude, I simply recognize that it is my choice, and for that I am grateful. I am grateful for the readiness and willingness to bring my Christ consciousness into being in my conversations and my relationships. And I'm grateful to surrender into the perfection of the divine as life. So from that place of gratitude, I simply release with joyful anticipation that this is reflected in my words, my actions, my relationships, every activity, and that anything that is out of alignment simply dissolves and fades away. For beginning right here and right now, spiritual law is the power and the presence in, as, and through me and all of life. And if you agree with me, I invite you to repeat after me. Ashe. Aho. Amen. Shalom. Amen. And so it is.
Okay, while I get myself organized, I want to share with you why I chose this next song. I was walking around the house one day singing it, and suddenly my mind went, wow, if God were going to sing us a song, this would be it. So let's see if you agree with me. loving you always with a love that's true always. When the things you've planned need a helping hand, I will understand. Always, always. Days may not be fair. Always. That's when I'll be there. Always. Not for just an hour. Not for just a day. Not for just a year, but always. Days may not be fair, always. That's when I'll be there, always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always. Not for just an hour, not for just a day, not for just a year, but always.
So do you agree?
All right, Miss Cheryl Khalid, everyone. All right, so as we prepare our gifts for the offering, we'll call the ushers forward, please.
3, 4. Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit lives and breathes through me. Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us. Spirit lives and breathes through us. Spirit lives and breathes through
So going within for just a moment longer, recognizing and knowing that the gifts presented here this morning, whether through online giving or here in the basket, that all of it represents a consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. So as by evidenced by the gifts presented here this morning, through the generous heart of the individual, we representing the heart of this spiritual community accept these gifts with deep love and respect, as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only the vision and mission of this center, but for every life here this morning, any life connected to our center in any way. That we extend this blessing and glad tidings upon our friends here in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them. That we know for our planet as well that all of it is an emanation from the mind of the divine itself. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in all ways great and small. This lifts our hearts. We feel a sense of power and grace that both propel us into and pull us into ways of spiritual living and spiritual loving that raise ourselves and those around us. And that's a good thing. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So please help me thank one of our longtime members and board member, Marcy Cowan. Longtime member, Chloe Houghton. So thank you for your gift of service this morning. So just so you know that our prayer experiment is coming up. If you have already signed up in the fellowship hall for the Power of 8, continue to do so. More information will be coming out through the month of February, and we're going to start that at the end of the month. So if you want to participate in this experiment of prayer, all you have to do is sign up, and you'll be getting information in a couple weeks on how we're going to do that. Okay, so help me thank one more time Miss Tracy Brown. Thank you for being here today. And let's thank while we're at it, let's thank our background singers. Terry Page kicked us off. Miss Brenda Moore, Jerry Reike, thank you. Jason, of course, on keyboards. Miss Eden, lovely having you back. Our music director, Ken Gordon, Ken Francis. And, of course, Cheryl Khalid. Yes, and all of you for making it in today. So let's have our, please, Andrea, pray us out. And we'll see you next week. Huh?
So as the practitioners and ministers surround the room in love, let us take a moment once again to recognize that there is a power and a presence, one life of all that continues to live and breathe and move and have its beingness as the entire universe. How grateful I am to know that my life is an expression of it, as is each and every individual present. So I am grateful for this opportunity to have experienced this upliftment. I am grateful for the opportunity that I get to step into the world in a new way this week. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have had to be cracked wide open to a greater expression of who and what I am, who and what we are, and I am willing and rededicated to living a life of spiritual principle, seeing the divine in all creation, knowing that infinite intelligence is the face of everything that I see. I am willing. I surrender to that. And I give thanks for this wonderful opportunity to leave here different than I was when I walked in. And I know this same truth for each of us as we go about our day, blessing each of us in safety and love. We are all related in love. And I give thanks for this knowingness as I release this word. Please join me in affirming this by saying, and so it is.